Hey everybody, good morning, aloha. Okay, recycle, new. This morning, recycle going back to Gojira. Born for One Thing. I got a lot of comments with this because apparently it was just released. I'm looking at the date and stuff. So I usually don't go to brand new tracks. I like to let them marinate. You know, sometimes I like to kind of dig up. But since I've already had a couple tracks from Gojira and a vast experience, vast. I think I've done 2 videos, but at least where I jumped around when I chose the song, or you know, you guys really choose the songs for me. Which sometimes I get comments like, dude, that was the worst track ever, you shouldn't, they've got better tracks. Remember, I don't know. And I'm getting to learn more about all the bands and stuff, and I'm getting to learn better ways to, you know, take some of your suggestions. Because you, the pure listener, is why I do this, and I want to bring the experience, not because it's got the most views or the biggest hit for the band, but also the song that just makes you, if I choose your song, you know, I know that you have a personal relationship with it, and this whole channel is about you, the pure listener, and this journey that we're on. So, you know, I got nothing but time in my life left, so I'm going to be doing this for a while, it seems like. So I'm going to, you know, constantly find the great ones and then the not so great ones. But this one seems to be a great one so far, so thank you so much for the support, the comments. Please leave other comments of other songs from the band that I should be checking out. As you know, the channel is not monetized. Any advertisement that runs on it is a copyright claim by the publishers, writers, record company. Hopefully the band members, everybody's making some money. As much of a nuisance as it may be. I also want to thank for those of you who have bought me a cup of coffee. It is just the coolest, most unbelievable thing I'm so grateful for. Because, you know, the channel's not monetized, so. And it also helps what I do with the kids. I've had some people ask about that. There is a link below that shows you what I do for the kids with the puppets as a ventriloquist and stuff. So I want to thank you for the support. Links are going to be all down there below for Gojira, their music, their merchandise and stuff to support them. AKG 240 headsets, links will be down there below. So let's do that. Let's do this. Gojira, Born for One Thing. All right. All right, I'm gonna jump straight in on this, and I'm gonna go straight for the core, which is the drums and the bass on this. And when I say the core, as a musician, as a composer, and you as the pure listener, when you're listening to music, a lot of times when you're listening to a song for the very first time, there's so many, at least in the kind of music that we're listening to here on this journey. There's other tracks that are a lot more less impactful as intense arrangements as they are well-placed arrangements and compositions. We seem to hone in on the bass and the drums and stuff, a lot of us. If we're big fans of the guitars, you know, we're gonna listen for that riff. We're gonna listen for that one thing that hooks us. And of course the vocalist, who, as you guys already know, I treat them as a musician in the band, and since I've never heard the lyrics, I don't listen to it. The blend and the tone and the quality of that. The drums and the bass on this. The bass, once again, the power of the liberty of phrasing. And so we have that, the opening part of the track obviously is the, the pick slide, if it's what it feels like to me. I wasn't there for the session. That long pick slide that's just grinding and grinding and setting up and setting up. And then they get into that really fun, fast, powerful part of the riff that's based on a single scale kind of a riff. Sorry, a little oyster on the half lung there. Excuse me. But in the second phrasing and stuff, when the bass player is starting to cook with the drums and stuff, they're following in unison. You always hear me talking about in unison when there's this heavy riff-oriented kind of composition and arrangement. All things happening in a unison is what makes that happen. But there's places in it sounded like every 2 bars perhaps, the bass followed everything and then came around it and circled back a phrase to bring it around. And the bass sound is kind of a wide sound. It's not a very compressed kind of vibe. It's got a little width to it. And then the fills of the drummer on this, so far I'm just a little ways into this, kind of fusiony progressive fills on it as well. And that adding to that turnaround of the bass with the phrasing is what's getting me out of my seat. Another thing that I loved is the lead singer, though he's not moving around, there isn't a big interval movement in his melodies or anything like that. He's got a really intense tonal sound. It's obviously not growling, but the intensity of his voice matches the complete vibe of all the distortion that's happening around this. Sometimes it could be overdone and stuff. But this last phrase that I heard, they really went deep into dynamics, into depth, into engineering and stuff, where they made everything fat and wide and let it glide over that. It's kind of like giving us a little bit of a rest from the intensity of the riff. And to me, dynamically, if you don't have headsets on, it's a little harder to get with it unless you're, center position and stereo in your, your home speakers or your studio speakers. But the effects, I didn't quite key in, and I probably will on the way out. But this was a long stop for me. I'm going to glide a little bit and let this thing run. And then song structure seemed very, very normal in the sense is that there were repetitive phrases that we all got used to already, and we started to build into it. And so we expected the next, change to be similar to the first. Like, you had the intro, verse, bridge, or turnaround, etc., etc. So, all right, let's go. Let's jam, jam, jam. Okay, really quick, I want to just bring that in. You see me just, bass is not my first instrument, but it is such an important part of a band. And I just loved the slide he was doing, the 1 octave. I mean, obviously in the bass end. And through that, he's not running wild. He gets to stand alone on his own arrangement, and that is such an important part of what I'm listening to, that I believe you as the pure listener, if you're not really hearing it, which is okay, I don't mean to make you say just listen to the bass of that, but it just adds just so much to it, man, that bass phrasing and stuff, and that power. Because remember, the bass is right here, man. The bass is what pulls us from this part. And also the chorus here, I remember when I was just saying, it didn't sound like the guy was growling. Well, as soon as I started, there was that one section where he got really heavy into a growl. But this section that we just heard was the same one I was talking about that got really rich and dynamic. Sounded like there was a nice arrangement of vocals on the top that made it thick, fat, and rich. And I really dug that. That's that kind of like reset that I really dig, that you just know that you're in for some more stuff, but at least they give you that minute to kind of like settle into a really nice melodic movement and then move forward. All right. Okay, that must be the end of the video. Oh man, that was good. I loved that this ending that we just had. Even though it seemed like a tempo shift, it was a straight 4/4. So that kind of, I had to reset and I was counting, and then before that there was that really intense. I was trying to catch a meter change there. A lot of times, you know, on the first listen, especially first thing in the morning, and I'm only like 5 sips in the first cup of coffee, my decomposer brain cells aren't necessarily on 100%. And so I was kind of vacillating in that little one section if it was a syncopation or if there was an actual meter change. If there's anybody out there that knows, please leave a comment or whatever your thoughts are. I really love those comments too. I know that my channel is for the pure listener, but I also know that there's musicians that come and hang out now and then. And I really dig that little side conversation at times if you've got something to say about meter changes or syncopation or something. That's really a super cool part of the participation. Gojira, Born for One Thing. I really dug the track. I dug that. You know what else that I was listening to is that, you know, I'm a geek. I'm a math geek before I was a music geek too. I think that all tied in somewhere in my life. And so when I listen to a lot of riffy music, you know, I forget how powerful and impactful some of the lesser spiced up riffs can be like this. And even though this is a powerful riffy track, the notes that are in the riff and the intervals in the riff are fairly small intervals and stuff, but it leans itself into being sometimes a lot more powerful than riffs that have big fat intervals. And if you've never heard me talk about intervals, intervals are the spaces between notes that we play. And sometimes we can achieve things by very wide intervals that gives us unique sounds, or very close intervals that can give us unique sounds, or sounds of dissonance or anxiety or you know, darkness and stuff like that. So anyhow, sooner or later, I'm working with somebody right now where I'm gonna reach out to somebody that's gonna help me get in my studio where I can actually have the same quality of music and everything, but still run my stuff and start to do little samples. You know, even though I'm not a composer teaching composition, I think maybe an example like that would have been cool if I was able to. How do I do that and get it happening? Anyhow, guys, thank you so much for hanging out. Today is a kind of a crummy day. You guys might get 3 out of me. If you're still here and you made it this far, type in, all right, 3 W's, 2 exclamation points. Like my logo. You guys like the logo? And also, speaking of the logo, I got merch. Yes, I got merch, that cool little logos on shirts and coffee mugs and stuff, and 100% of that goes towards the things I do with the kids. Anyhow, thank you guys so much for hanging out. Have an epic day if yours hasn't already started. It's only 8 o'clock my time here in Hawaii, but I know the rest of the world's already up and hustling. So, like I always say, all right!